Welcome to Talking Retro with your host, the inimitable CaptNRetro, and his favorite homeboy on the planet, MC Murr. What it do, MC Murr?
Greetings and salutations, everyone.
I hope this is working right. We're testing out a new system tonight, and we're going to find out if it works. And the reason we're testing out a new system is because we brought a third man to the party tonight. I don't think he needs an introduction. He has kicked both of our asses in sub count in the last 4 months. Smash JT, welcome to the show, buddy.
What's up, guys? Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
Murr and you have talked a little bit over the last couple months and been wanting to get together on some streaming things, so let's knock this out of the ballpark and start it right there.
Absolutely.
Smash did a video on eBay killing retro game collecting, and it's definitely dealt some blows, but we got to talking back and forth, and I got to thinking, this comment section is turning into a podcast, so let's just stop it right there and make it one. We can go all day about the double-edged sword that is eBay and retro game collecting. So that's what I want to start out with tonight. And Smash, if you want to go ahead and start us out by recapping a little bit of your initial thoughts with that, and then I've got some things I'm going to bounce off of you, some ideas. But it's definitely something that affects us all, and it must be discussed.
Absolutely, dude. So basically, if anyone didn't see the video, you don't really need to see the video to know what we're talking about. But houses were very cheap back in the day after they moved on from NES and Super Nintendo, and the PlayStation 1 came out, and those games started to be not very valuable. There was no worth in them. They're selling, if you remember, FuncoLand copies of Ninja Turtles for like 11 cents. Mario Brothers Duck Hunt for 5 cents.
Those were the days.
Did we have a Funko Land? I don't think we had a Funko Land around here, but I know what you're talking about, those types of stores.
Right. And the point up in the video was basically like, nobody gave a crap about the prices of the games back then. You'd sell them at a yard sale, have a shoebox full of NES games, and be like, yeah, $5 or $3, what? I don't care, that kind of thing. And fast forward to present day where we are now with eBay, and I think the message of the video got lost in translation a little bit to some people that weren't listening carefully, but the true message of the video was basically how eBay is a great thing, but what frustrated me to hell and what caused me to make the video in the first place was going to a yard sale, asking how much a game was, and seeing someone look it up on their phone, being like, oh, it's a $40 Contra, I'll sell it to you for $35, and be like, dude, this is a yard sale. You are selling things to get rid of them. You are completely missing the point of a yard sale. Yeah. Without modern technology, I mean, people in the comments section of the video are like, no, eBay didn't ruin it. Smartphones ruined it. I was like, yeah, but they're looking up eBay prices.
Yeah, let's make sure that the blame is going where it needs to go, and it's eBay. And there was a direct shift, and I can almost remember the moment that it happened. Some of the first sales that I went to where they were doing just that. They're like, okay, see, that one's gonna be. I was like, nah, dude, you put a red sticker on it, you put a 1 or 2 or 3. That's how this goes, man. Ain't gonna be none of this $20, $30, $40 boom. But the question I want to ask, and this is an interesting one because this is something else since that time that I've noticed in yard selling, has the knowledge of the value of some of these things hidden in these attics, waterlogged in these basements, helped the availability to an extent in people realizing that they have valuable items tucked away? I'm not saying it makes it good, but I have had some instances where it's like these people might not have even known they had these things had they not been triggered that, oh my God, that's valuable? Well, I have that, And I've been to a lot of sales where they don't have the games out. I'm sure you have too. You're like, hey, do you have any games? And they said, well, I do, but I didn't think anybody would want that. Right, they want your grandma's underwear you got hanging on the clothesline over here. No, I want your freaking Contras. They have to go in and get them. But, yeah, I digress. Has the knowledge of the value of these things maybe helped the availability somewhat?
Yes and no. I mean, yes and no. It becomes a certain situation, where there's I know where we are, Mur. We've got sharks in the waters, and there are people. There are people here who are just resellers, and it's not just video games. They're buying anything and everything they can at Goodwills and at thrift stores and flea markets to sell, and that just so happens to be old video games as part of their stuff too. So they don't really have any knowledge of what they've got until they get it all home and go through the eBay lookups and they start pricing it. So there is that becomes a thing where, oh, I see people are going after video games, so they just start grabbing everything they can see. And then there's the other side of it, like where somebody is generally at home and reads an article on the internet that's like, your old games could be worth $1 million. And they're like, well, my kid's got old games in the closet. And they go looking, and then they put a $500 price tag on Super Mario 3 and a Nintendo. And you're like, well, that's...
I want to jump in on quick.
Okay.
Tell you, Kevin, how many times I've had family me on with you may have games in your attic. It's like, no, I don't have a sealed copy of Stadium. I don't have a sealed copy of Samson. Like, they're in pristine condition. Maybe these articles are like, you may have these laying around your attic. Like, nobody does. What are you talking about?
Well, apparently in Texas, where Brad and those guys are, there has been 2. They found a complete in-box Stadium events for free, basically, at their store, and then the same store got one within another couple weeks. Somebody else brought one and traded it in too, and like at that point they knew what they had and they didn't sell it for $1. So.
But you'll agree those are the exception to the rule.
It's got to be. Like, I don't think I'll ever see one in my life. But I will see stacks of 10-yard fights and people wanting $30 for 10-yard fight, and it's like, well, yes, there is some value here, but you don't know what it is.
It's not what you're thinking. And again, what I was saying is that even if it has helped people go dig this stuff up so that it's ready to sell when we get to these yard sales, because God knows I've had people also say, oh, I have that, but I just have no idea where it is. You'll have to come back or I'll call you back, and they never do either one. But it's still, the damage is done. eBay still ruined it, because when they call you back or when you go back, or say they even do, at that point, if they've located it before their yard sale, they've priced it at those prices, and you show up early and you're like, oh, I'm the first one to get here, but it doesn't matter. It's cost us $60.
The other thing I want to add to that is you get grandma talking to her grandma friend.
Yeah.
Oh, my, I'm just $1,000. And grandma has games in her attic and puts them on Craigslist, or whatever, and puts a ridiculous price tag on it, not looking up the value of them, and thinking that because there is intrinsic value to
Jeff, we're losing you, buddy. You're still going in and out.
eBay.
You might want to try the phone trick.
1 second.
Sorry, it just keeps going in and out. We're getting like every other half a word.
1 second.
And Murr, we're being told that you're a little quiet in the comments like I thought, so I don't know what's going on over there, but maybe just turn the volume up on your phone, possibly.
How am I now? Am I good now?
That was a good sentence. I don't really know until you start talking for a minute, and then it goes in and out like we lose half of your stories. So.
Oh, for God's sakes.
It's all right.
Back to grandma's.
Back to grandmothers.
But yeah, basically, grandma hears that another grandma's kid sold his games for a ton of money, and those games have intrinsic value to them because eBay has set the price for them. And then you get the stories of, because some games are worth something, people think that they have money and value in every are posting the games for ridiculous prices everywhere, because that's a symptom of the problem of eBay.
Yeah, you got people that just think generally that, it's a Nintendo game, so that's worth money. And they do it all the way up to, I find people with PS2 games, they're $10 each. No, they're not, man. They're 50 cents tops, and I don't even want them. It'll be a bunch of sports garbage or a bunch of frickin', Mary Kate and Ashley Shrek games. So yeah, people have lost it. They never can interpret the news or anything right or anything that they read. They just take it to the absolute. But it has.
It's definitely the rope. The noose is tightening around the neck of the Atlanta gaming retro market. It's hard out there, bro. Sharpen your elbows and get ready to throw them because it's hard out there.
Yeah. Literally, like I was in a dog pile last year. I mean, this shouldn't happen. I'll go to a Morbid Angel concert if I want that kind of physical interaction.
I don't want to get in that pit.
Yeah. And, you know, at the end of it, I asked this one guy, I was like, you work in this circuit? Is this your area? And he's like, he just didn't really want to talk. And, but man, this is some bullshit, you know? I mean, I was trying to not really extend an olive branch, but just kind of talk to the guy and try to get a feel for why this area was so violent that I had come to. So, you know, when they advertise games, you better get your elbows up. It's going to be rough.
Definitely. Mur, I don't know if you've seen your logo I made for you, but it is classy.
I have not, but I can't wait.
I'm flashing it right now on the screen, so if you're watching from the watch screen, you'll get to see it if you pop in there. There, and we're back to all three of us again. All right, so, you know, again, we have no control over who learns about games and their values and how they go about selling and or acquiring or hoarding such things. All we can do is fight for those deals and get out there every day and look for them, and that's, you know, that's all anybody can do, really. We have no real control over the market. I know people claim that, oh, the Angry Video Game Nerd made this video, and now this game's gone up $5,000. It may spike for a minute or two, and because of a crazy rash that hits eBay or whatever might happen, but, like, it's not going to stay that way.
But you just said it. It hits eBay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's right there. But, as of eBay.
But as a person like me, I'm not shopping on eBay for anything, really. You know what I mean? I'm a digger and picker, so I'm not looking to pay top dollar for anything. So when it does spike on eBay, that doesn't affect me personally. It does, however, affect the market for the games, I guess, you know, and like what the price point for the game is. So there's a correlation between knowledge and people using that knowledge, definitely, you know.
And it, you know, it knows no age limit too. Like I said, Grandma, I've even had Grandpa breaking my balls, going in and out to look at his computer, and that's what he was doing. You know, he's like, no, those are $100 on eBay. What are you even looking at? You're not even looking at sold auctions. You're just looking at stuff.
Yeah.
But
it's the same world, and I will let you know, it's the same exact world in arcade and pinball collecting and such. It's,
I don't doubt that.
You got to find the deals, and the deals are out there. You just got to keep looking for them, and there's everybody else and their brother wants top dollar and then some, you know, for their eBay finds or their eBay sales. So,
yeah. But next bullet point for you, Smash, I want to hit you up with this. Now, and you probably know, GameStop field destroyed tons of retro stuff after that 5 and 11 cent period for tax write-offs. And they did it again when they decided the GameCubes were retro, like they get to decide that. So how full of themselves are these assholes, first of all, for thinking that they can decide when something's retro, and what kind of nerve have they got getting back in the market now? Because we know that now they're buying the stuff up at, you know, at practically nothing again, and then selling the stuff back out online, and in cases, some stores too.
And also damaging the stock of the stuff by throwing away cases, getting rid of manuals.
Yeah.
Fuck GameStop for that part.
Again, what kind of nerve do these people have? And
they got that corporate nerve, dog.
But yeah, but it's I mean, it's like if some resellers started digging up mummies out of the pyramids or something. I don't know how to equate it. This stuff is precious to us. You know?
I know how to equate it perfectly, actually.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the diamond market?
Yeah, somewhat.
Okay, so basically De Beers owns the diamond market. And it's no different than video games if you look at it from the perspective of buying and selling an item. They don't give a shit what it is they're selling. They just want to control the market. In the case with diamonds, or whoever the other big one is, they have There are stories, I can't confirm any of this, but I've read stories about how they have basically gigantic holding cells of millions of diamonds locked away so that they cannot go out to the open market. And by doing that, it intrinsically increases the value of the available diamond supply that's out there. And in a way, it's kind of like what GameStop did with gaming by destroying all those other game copies. It intrinsically increased the value of everything else that's available because of that.
There you go.
That would be my assessment of
I will say this:
what it's.
that is an actual thing that has happened because of their destroying. But I don't think that corporate mandate was a let's make this shit worth more money. I think that was just be dicks and throw shit away because who needs it?
It's hard
No,
to know
I don't-
because
I
you
don't-
always
wasn't
wonder
strategy.
what's going on at the top with these
I don't-
guys. They make the craziest
I don't-
decisions.
I don't know if I necessarily believe they're just being dicks. I think they're a lot smarter than that. Whatever their reason is, I'd like to think GameStop is smarter than that. They're evil assholes. I'm not trying to give them credit for being good people, but I do want to give them credit for being smart from a business sense and survival. And I don't see them doing it just being like, duh, those aren't worth anything. They're a waste of space. Get rid of them.
But that's what it was.
No. I know that's what they say it was, but they know they're getting rid of value, and they know that at the end of the day, they, along with eBay, control the market. They are a big enough supplier of it where they can actually set prices that don't necessarily align with eBay. And there's only a handful of companies and people out there that can do that, and it's one that comes to mind. So I think they know what they're doing. At least I'd like to think they know what they're doing.
You got to think that somebody there must. And we can only ask questions so far up the ladder, whether you've worked there, whether you know people who've worked there, their managers, their boss's boss. And all of them may give you the same answer that, yeah, it was take up space, tax write-off, blow it out. So if there was this divine plan at the top, I guess we would never really get to know. But, again, that's why I wanted you to come on the show to bounce these things off you. I honestly had never given that any consideration either. So, yeah, you got to think that GameStop's done something right. They've devoured practically every one of their competitors on the market. We had a fun.
Well, they pulled the Guitar Center theory with that. I mean, the Guitar Center did the same thing to mom and pop music shops.
Yeah.
And they just, you come in with big box retailer and you fucking take over, and that's what GameStop did. We've got all the new games, and we've got a lot of money to advertise and get our name, and we're building a store every 3 miles from each other. So there's 6 in a row of 10 square miles. You know what I mean? Like they know what they're doing. Don't get me wrong. Corporate wise, they know what they're doing. Game savvy and collector wise, I don't think that was part of their rationale. Was we're going to make our games worth more. No, they were just like fucking get rid of it.
I'll be the first one to admit I wrong every step of the way with GameStop. If I were into investing, I would be betting 100% against GameStop every step of the way. And somehow they're managing to survive in this climate, and it's
they're turning into a Think Geek. That's why.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying though. They find a way to survive, and I know this is kind of going a little bit off topic with GameStop, but they find a way to survive. They're like a cockroach in a nuclear war. Like they find a way to survive every single time, and it blows my mind because look at the bigger company. Look at Best Buy. Look at Target. Look at Walmart. Like the gigantic retailers could put this company out of business. They could squash it in a second, but they don't because I feel like the margins that GameStop has are so small that it's not worth these gigantic companies to bother with it. And that's what GameStop thrives on.
Well, yeah, and GameStop's making their money on used stuff and peripherals. That's where their money's coming from. So it's not on new games. But
and I may be stepping off topic with it all, but I guess what I was getting at is this affecting retro game collecting? Is it affecting eBay? I don't know that
Mhm.
it is really, because GameStop's really come under a lot of fire for shipping people disc-only turds when they thought they were getting complete things, or sending them counterfeit Pokemon games or whatever the hell. I don't know that that's really affected eBay, or has it really? But you know, it probably has affected the retro collecting in a sense, because I'm sure people are taking stuff to them. Because in some cases, I've even been tempted on some of the promotions they've done. In some cases, they're giving more for a game than I would net out of it if I sold it myself.
Let me tell you a quick personal story and bore you all to death, but I promise you it's worth it.
Shoot.
That's what we brought you on here for, is to bore us to death.
But I'll leave off first. Basically, I was.
We're losing you again.
Hello? Talking. Good?
Kinda. Technical difficulties. We have a drunk man behind the camera.
How about now? Am I good now?
That sounds good.
I fixed something. Hopefully it stays. Is it good?
That's better.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, quick personal story. I grew up in New England, South Shore, Massachusetts, and had an awesome childhood game collection. And house got flooded, lost a bunch of the games.
My house got flooded as a child too, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but our house got flooded and I lost a Nintendo and a power pad and a bunch of shit as a kid too. Sorry.
Yep. No, dude, no, it's totally fine. So interrupt away. If you got something to add, I don't mind. Seriously. So it happens to the best of us. I mean, flooding, anything you think of it, you lose games. You know, I was the youngest in my family. My brothers sold some of the games growing up, and it was sad to see them go, whatever. But I moved to Diego, and I still had a passion for video games and didn't have my childhood collection, and wanted to start this journey of, I want to get back the games that I had, and it's kind of a problem that I've dealt with as far as psychologically, like, I need to get these games and I don't know where to stop type thing, and I'm sure everyone looking behind you, both of you, you have a similar situation as far as thought process with that.
It's called issues. We have issues.
Yeah, we all have issues. And honestly, in the grand scheme of things, these are not big issues. These are good issues to have in the grand scheme of things. But my frustration, and the point of my story is the way game collecting has turned into corporate profiting has ruined the industry, along with eBay, along with GameStop, along with all these gigantic companies trying to make a buck off of it. If retro didn't come back in massive form, for whatever reason, be it YouTube, be it whoever brought it back in such a gigantic way, that it's affected people who truly care about collecting for the purposes of collecting. Not to be trendy, not to be cool, not to be, oh, I got that game too. They actually have a passion for retro gaming. And those people have always existed, pushing in all these other people with them, which now the retro collectors have to deal with that. It's the reality of the situation. We have to compete in the market with people that are not like us. And it's frustrating, but it is what it is. And that's my
I never knew that other people did this, and when I finally figured out that this was a huge thing, it was a shock to me. I always thought I just had mental issues, but then, again, really starting to get back into yard sailing again, which I always did. I did it through the 90s too, but doing it again more here lately and seeing just how much competition I was up against. I'm like, you say, you can tell these are not collectors. Some of these people are messed out,
flippers.
Yeah, so it's just like, is this really what it's come down to? Because I'm gonna, and I'm not saying I keep every single thing I find. I mean, I finance the habit, I finance the hobby.
We all do.
You're gonna get duped when you buy large lots. These things happen, but that's for trading, selling, and for paying for the whole thing. But
don't get me wrong, there are people who don't sell stuff, but for the most part, I would say 90% of us collectors fund our own habit through our own.
But I love
vices.
What I'm getting, and I'm getting back. I there's been lots of things I've lost over the course of time that I've had to get back, and was glad to have back. It's for the purpose of nostalgia and all that good stuff. So yeah. it is mind blowing what we're having to deal with in this day and age, and it's almost like, well, hey, come on, Mer, game collecting isn't yours, you don't own it. But I really felt alone in the world doing it for the longest time until I guess I saw a Game Chasers video. It was the first time it really clicked with me that like, okay, people do this, and it's not just these two guys, It's
Do you feel like you will ever reach a point where you're like, I'm good?
I don't think so. I mean, I stopped collecting a little bit when we really started playing hard in the band in the 90s, but I still did buy things, and I just didn't do it as much. But we were still playing, and the collection was still growing, even though I wasn't aggressively making it grow. It still was. And now I'm back to being really aggressive with it again. There's a lot of things in here I've had literally my whole life, and they're still here, some of them. So that's a great question, but I don't think I will. I don't think I'll ever stop.
The weird thing about collecting, especially, but I mean, to a certain extent, all retro games, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Like, I very rarely put them in my system. But just the thought, and I know you guys are completely in line with me on this. It's there I want is the reason why you have it.
We lost all of that, buddy. Sorry. You're falling out again.
Really?
You got that potato internet.
I got it tethered to my phone now. I said, though, I have all the games. I rarely put them in the system, but just the thought of being able to put them in the system, is
to know
so
they're there.
Reassuring. It's such a weird thing. It's just such a mental thing. Like, they're there. I can put Rygar in anytime. I can play Rygar in my top loader. I can put it in my regular. I can put it in my Retron. I can play this game.
Right.
I don't ever, but I can.
It's the comfort of knowing
it is. It's the comfort. It's like having the tool and not needing it. It's the same thing as a gun.
Yes.
That's a good way to put it.
It's the weirdest feeling in the world. There's nothing I can compare it to. Like, there's nothing else in my life where I'm like, I would have that to know that I can use it if I need to use it in the future. Like, that doesn't exist anywhere else in my life.
Right.
It's so strange.
I have a change jar.
Everything, but I won't do it.
My change jar is maybe the same thing, where it's like, if I have to use that, I can, but if not, I'm going to keep growing that thing. It's huge. It's so full. I have no idea how much change is in that thing, but it's huge. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump to the next topic, because I know people in the comments are heated. They want to hear the heat, the fire about this Nintendo Direct Mini that popped out today. I'm going to go ahead and just jump the conversation forward. So here we go, guys. Nintendo Direct Mini thoughts, please have at you.
Captain, you're going to have to
talk about on that same thing, but if you want to move on to the Switch stuff, and I'm sure Smash saw it.
Well, I was going to say, Kev, you got to keep me posted on the comments section, because I got my phone using tethering, so I can't watch the comments anymore. But
okay.
Keep me posted on what people are saying there, because I can't see them anymore.
Will do. I'm just bringing this up right away because Rotberg's, he said, good night, guys, good stream, guys, but Murr has to go off on a rant to make it a classic video. So he didn't stick around to hear the rant because it's coming.
Well, and Smash, while we got you here, I want to bounce these off you too. So first let me clarify. I love my Switch. There was a time there when other people didn't have one, and I've had a day one, and I guess maybe that was part of it. I'm playing this thing, and maybe my neighbor can't, and that was great. I don't know what the hell. I mean, there's a million and one other things in here I could be playing with, but it was kind of exciting for a few minutes. But what they've done and what they're still doing, and God, today was a perfect example of what they're going to do. And what universe is Switch actually competing with these business practices? And help me if I'm missing it. Switch titles are still releasing late and as much as $20 over competitors' retail. And this is an example we didn't give on the last show that I forgot to mention. Battle Chaser Night War. It could be any game, but it's this game. This game was okay. Came out on the other systems already. I already bought it for $20 on PS4, hated it, and resold it. It's still not out on the Switch yet, and it's $10 higher. So the game's already flubbed. This is just an example. This isn't the whole problem, but this is an example. Why even release it? The game already flopped, and you're going to come out with it, and it's going to be $10 more expensive than I could buy it on. And you know, everyone, oh, it's portable. It was portable. It's portable. Hell, toilets are portable. I mean, it's not. It's not really. That doesn't mean I want to use them. You know, it does fix the problem. So there's also talk about Darkest Dungeon coming to it, which will just be digital. And they're talking that, you know, I think we finally confirmed that it was going to be $25. I might buy that again. But by this time, it's already been on sale for $10 on other systems. So it's like, there again, portable is the only reason. But yeah, we'll go ahead and stop at that bullet point for now. The late releases and higher price than their competitors. What are your thoughts on that? How does this work?
You want me or Kev?
Go ahead, Jeff. You take it. I want to hear y'all's points.
One. I just, how does this work other than portable? Portable can't be the only answer.
I can only speak from my personal. I live in my own head. I live in my world. I can't speak for other people. And in my world, I do YouTube, and this has been a constant frustration for me, and it's very complicated to decide. This is a little bit off topic, but I'll come back around to what you're saying.
No, yeah, come on with it.
It's very challenging for me to decide what games to review, what games to bother playing, what games to even touch. I have every console. I have a PC with Steam with the best graphics card and play any game you could ever think of. Actually, not most. 99.9% of games come out on Steam.
Yeah.
80% of games come out on Steam first. And the problem I've had, especially last year, going into this year, is games that are coming to the Switch are already released on Steam last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or more. And I'm getting companies contacting me saying, hey, would you like to review our game? And I don't want a code. I don't want to say yes if I'm not going to review it, because I don't want to review a game because I'm too small. My channel, personally, is too small to compete with the big guys.
Yeah.
And there's already way too many reviews out there for the game that came out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
To bother creating a new review, to bother talking about this game, even though it's brand new on Switch and a lot of people haven't played it, they'll search YouTube, they'll find a review for it from 2 years ago. It's the same damn game. Like,
yeah.
What's the point?
If not a little shittier.
What's that?
If not a little shittier, because it's on the Switch.
Exactly.
And we're going to talk about that too, yeah. But yeah, you're right. It just gets lost in the sea.
And to bring it back to your point, MC, is these games on the Switch, they're coming out MSRP of 20% to 30% higher or more than what the Steam price is. Not to mention, since the game came out a year or 2 years ago on Steam, and for the people that are watching that are like, oh, Jeff, that's like 1 or 2 games. No, it's like every goddamn game. It's already out. It's already been played to death by other people. And worst of all, it's already been on sale.
Yeah.
Or free.
When it's been on sale, that devalues what the game is worth. And when there's a game like, we'll say, I'm trying to think of a game, I can't think of one offhand right now. Worms Armageddon.
Yeah.
That just came out for the Switch a few weeks ago. Came out 2 years ago on Steam. It's already been on sale, already been like $5 or $8. It's selling, hasn't been on sale yet on the Switch, for $29.99. And now people watch and be like, well, I don't play games on Steam. I don't play games on the computer. Okay. Are you willing to pay $30 for a game that's $5?
Yeah.
Just to be able to say I got it on my Switch.
Because plenty of people do use Steam, and I'm not even a big guy that really uses it, but we got to think about how many people really are. We're talking about viability at this point. You know, it's like,
Well-
oh, well, there are some people that would pay $30. Well, great, line them up and let's count them because I don't see this as sustaining anything. You know,
extends into a much bigger problem as well with, and this kind of alludes to what we will talk about eventually with the Nintendo Direct today and all the freaking ports.
oh my god,
These games,
They
it's a weird situation we find ourselves in as educated gamers, where we've played the games, we've been around long enough, we've seen them, and now they're coming out again for their second, third, fourth, or fifth system, or more, and people have bought them. People have bought them that many times, and I'm watching YouTube. I'm watching people. I'm hearing people. I'm going on a rant right now. Sorry. I'm hearing people that are like,
that's what this is for. This is the perfect platform for it.
that's what our show is.
I'm hearing people on YouTube. Everything's all fucking rainbows and daisies. Everyone's like, "Oh my god,
You're telling me
LA Noire is coming to the Switch! Holy shit! I want to play this game portable." Could you imagine, guys, if Grand Theft Auto 5 comes to the Switch? Came out for the 360.
Yeah.
What? Why do you care?
Yeah,
What?
why?
I don't get this. I don't get this mentality where everyone is defending, not Nintendo per se in this case, but defending companies that have rehashed, re-released umpteen million times for these games, and I see something on Twitter that's like sarcastic. Oh, great, this game's coming out again, and people come at me. I'm like, come at me, bro. Here we go. Like, you said something bad about a port. I'm coming at you. Like, I don't mind the ports.
Yeah. If it's called.
The problem, what's that?
If it's called for, but I don't think we're not calling for it. No one asked for LA Noire on 15 times. Okay.
Right, exactly. I firmly believe that was Rockstar just testing the engine to make sure they can run Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't think they really had a real reason. I mean, look at that. That was a half-assed release. Half the game was download. It wasn't even fitting on the card.
That's true.
That was a joke. That was an absolute
joke. I was hoping that you would. I thought maybe you would bring me back down and say, no, it's cool. This is why it's cool. But I think we're on the same wavelength.
No, it's not cool at all.
And that's cool too. But I want everyone to know that I'm not dogging Nintendo here. I'm not dogging them. I'm only just passionate.
No, exactly.
I'm rooting for them. And I don't see this as a sustainable business practice. And we'll just go ahead and segue right into when we're talking about ports. You know, that was all the Direct was today, other than some Pokken Tournament DLC. Talk about just could not give a flying fig about it. And you know, we'll work our way down the ladder, but I want to start at the one that really just smoked my freaking brain the most. Dark Souls Remastered.
Demastered.
This has been free on Xbox Live twice. I sold my Dark Souls and made money on it. How are you remastering it? It's going to be in probably 900p instead of 1080? Does anybody need another copy of Dark Souls?
It's called Demastered.
And from what I gathered from people were in the comments were like excited about, it's Dark Souls on the Switch. Help me out. Why is that cool?
MC, you know the weird thing about all that? Dark Souls getting released on the Switch didn't bother me. What bothered me was how excited people were about it. That's what bothered me. That is like, I don't want to sound like I'm like on this like high mountain looking down at people, but
you feel
come
that
on,
way at that point. You feel alone in the thought process.
Wake up, people! Like, wake up!
Yeah.
Look at what the companies are doing right now. It's clear as day. They have come to the point where they are telling you that they are re-releasing a game that's been out for God only knows how long. What is that, 5 years?
At least.
4 years?
At least 5.
And has been given away.
It has to be 4 years old because there's been 3 of them. So it has to be at least 4 years old, correct?
At least. Yeah, Dark Souls.
At least. I mean, 4 or 5 years old. And great game. Great game.
Nothing against it.
Nothing against the game. But literally, this is marketing at its finest. That is something that Nintendo releases a trailer for on their YouTube page and sends a message out saying, Dark Souls is coming to the Switch. You don't highlight that in a direct. That's pathetic. That's embarrassing. Like, that's what you got? That?
Yeah.
A game that's been free twice on Xbox. A game that's been available on 4 different platforms already. And another thing.
And looks better on all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
But how many people out there, this is the other thing with the ports. How many people out there, the Switch is their first system?
I can't imagine
anybody.
anybody.
That's $1 million question.
No one our age, but yeah, kids.
Because they're acting like that's what this is.
Well,
these people
here's the thing, Kevin.
need to buy these games.
Kevin, I don't even kids. My kids. Xbox 360. There you go.
Right.
Kids don't even get it. Are you kidding me? Like, first system for anyone, a Wii. First system for anyone right now, get a used Xbox 360. You don't buy a kid, unless you're buying them a Ferrari later on in life, you don't buy them a Nintendo Switch when they're a kid as their first system. That's just strange, unless you just are completely out of touch with reality. That is not someone's first system. So, I mean, maybe we'll say that's like 1 or 2% of the population. It's their first system, maybe less. For the vast majority of people, the reason why they play games on their Switch is for the portability. And while that's a great feature, I can't. And this was my frustration when LA Noire was coming out, and when Doom was coming out. Doom was $5. Skyrim was $5. These games have been so cheap. I own them all from $5 or less. New, not used, brand new, physical copies for $5 or less. And now they're saying $60 MSRP because you can take it portable.
Yeah.
And who does? Do you take your Switch portable?
I thought I would, but I haven't. We were talking about that earlier today. I took it on our Disney trip. Might have got 20 minutes in because we were so busy. And you know, when you go out and about, you're handling business. You're not playing video games. If I had time to play games, I'd be at home with my feet up. I'm not debunking that portable is cool, but I gotta say that even when I'm playing 3DS, I'm at home.
Well, we're also I don't think we are necessarily the age range for portable. I would imagine that's more of a kid thing. Kids walking around with it and taking it to school or doing whatever they're doing.
But how many have you seen doing that?
I don't have kids, so I don't know.
Kid carry
I still
around somewhere?
I don't have kids.
At school, Kevin, people at school, I got kids. You know what they got? 3DSs, 2DSs. They don't bring a Switch to school.
Not the cool kid might.
The cool kid might.
The cool kid might.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying I get it, and what makes me saddest most about the ports, and it's because they're just poking a fucking fiery stick at the Wii U owners. Like, here's all your best games coming over to a new system now, and we shit all over your system for a while, and
that's a whole other can of worms right there.
It is. It's kind of circling back to what you were saying about, is this really anybody's first system? I don't want to buy all the Wii U games again. I bought Mario Kart for the online play, but not single-player offline stuff. I'm just going to play it on my Wii U. Why would you do that? They announced Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze today. Great game. I actually got it free.
Murray, you've been asked, weren't you excited about Skyrim when it came out on the Switch?
I was, and I'll admit that that's just because I'm a Skyrim nut.
But there's also Amiibo stuff and Nintendo stuff has been added to it. It's not. You can play new stuff in it.
I shouldn't have been. Because in hindsight now, do you think I'm going to play that on the Switch or am I going to play it on PS4? It's over. I got Link's Tunic. Whoop-de-doo, I'm done. It wasn't a $60 experience. It just wasn't. I was just excited for it because I'm a nut. They got me on that one game. They're not going to get me on any other one.
Right.
Again, back to this Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze nonsense. It's a great game, but I got it free when I bought Mario Kart. That was a promotion. You can pick one free download.
I remember that.
So, I mean, this is a game I own. I paid nothing for it. From Nintendo. Not from hustling. From Nintendo. Why am I going to get $60 to play it on the go? I mean, I realize they have to make money on the item. My question is, why sell it in the first place?
Tight White's in the chat. What's up, Tight? What's up, Reg? What's up, Shad Juice? Everybody in the. Thank you guys so much for coming to the chat and hanging out and saying things. I'm trying to read some questions here real quick, guys. Krillin says he takes his Switch out with him sometimes, but not as much as I would think. He takes his 3DS XL more than the Switch. He loves all his DS consoles better as a portable system tenfold. He's talking about the DSs are better as portable systems than the Switch is. And again, how long does the Switch last? If you wanted to get on a plane and you had an 8-hour flight, is it going to last 8 hours to play Skyrim across the nation?
Yeah, I thought it was 2 or 3 hours, something like that.
Okay. I took mine. When we went to Too Many Games, I went up there and I had it at the bar, and 8-Bit Eric and a couple of us were all hanging out at the bar, and we played Street Fighter against each other at the bar, and that was totally fun. You know, handing off the controllers and letting people play, and totally fun. But not not like a end-all be-all experience that had to be done, but it was fun. It just wasn't something I would do on a reg. I wouldn't take that shit to the beach because it's going to get all sandy, and you know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that. I baby my things for the most part. So,
Radical Reggie says, I don't own a Switch. Does that make me uncool? Let me ask you something. Have you ever sat there and asked yourself, is there even a reason I own a Switch right now? I mean, the frickin' Zelda came out on the Wii U, and, Captain, you went that route with it originally.
I sure did.
You weren't worried about picking one up. I mean, I don't want, again, let's clarify. I'm not trying to slam the Switch. I'm happy I have it. But to a consumer, do you really have to have this thing right now for a wheelbarrow full of indie crap that isn't worth $9 a piece anyway? Or, I mean, or all the games you already owned on your Wii U over again? There's really not that much going on with the system right now. My sister just bought one for my nephew, and she was asking me, what games do I get? I'm like, I don't know. I said, I don't think they would play anything on it. They play Warcraft and Overwatch.
Mario?
And they probably would play Mario, but for how long? For 12 hours? And then what? I'm really struggling with reasons for the average consumer to own one of these right now. Now, as collectors, I mean, I guess we can all just buy one, but is there even reason for us to own them? Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's not getting played. No one in my house is playing that thing. So.
I think partially why I was so frustrated with the Nintendo Direct Mini this morning was I had expectations, even if it was going to be a teaser, just to say, hey, here's a heads up on a game that you might already know about, like Metroid. Here's a 3-second clip of it. Here's Pokemon. Here's a 3-second clip of Pokemon. Anything. I know we all know it's coming. It's just as a gamer and as someone who, for wanting to play more and wanting reasons to feel justified in their purchase decision, you wonder, why are they holding back all these games? Why are they not talking about it? I know they will, and that's only a fraction of my frustration. Not to mention their online. Oh, yeah. What the hell's going on with the online and their service, and when are we getting YouTube apps, and when are we getting any kind of to work with the system? There's literally been zero information about what's going on with the operating system on the Switch. It's
Nintendo frustrating.
It's so Nintendo.
It's so Nintendo. They are classically frustrating company like that. And they marched their own drummer, and that drummer is playing his own song. So,
well, I don't know if you guys are.
Stuff takes a lot of time, and we can't expect a new Zelda every 6 months or whatever. So I think they feel like all this other stuff is going to be the filler until more first-party stuff comes. And I'm not going to say it was all bad. I thought that Mario Tennis was kind of neat looking since it had a story mode. Nobody really asked for another Mario Tennis game, though. I mean, let's be serious. We just got done blowing out the Wii U one at all the retailers. But, okay, the story mode, that's kind of cool. I realize there's only so much of that they're going to have, but...
On Mario Tennis, such a strange choice. Strange as hell.
And it always is.
Mario Tennis was one of the last games on the Wii U. And not only is it Mario Tennis, but it's a new Mario Tennis. It's not a Wii U remaster. Like, why are you making a new Mario Tennis right now? Why not remaster Mario Tennis for Wii U and actually focus on a game people want to play that's been a while, like
a Paper Mario.
Mario Golf.
I was
Paper
trying to
Mario.
find something good I could compliment him on, but we can blame him on tennis too. We can
Look,
go ahead and-
let's not
Nobody
slam them all
asked for
together.
a tennis game.
Reggie wants to know, Smash JT, do you care about other companies besides Nintendo, like Sony or Microsoft? Or is it all Nintendo? I think he's kidding.
It's funny. I love all game companies. I have every system available, and I find myself playing Nintendo games more often than not because I feel like Nintendo focuses on the fun factor over other companies focusing on graphics and story and all these other things that they're important to a lot of people, but not to me. What's important to me is when I pick up a game, is it fun? And do I enjoy my time with it? And I feel like more often than not, that's Nintendo does that, and they're successful with that. Not to say that Sony and Microsoft can't do that. I love Cuphead. I love Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm playing that right now. I'm having a blast with it. But, I mean, name me 5 games on Xbox One that came out last year that were so good that you just had to play them.
I can't.
Can't do it.
I hate the...
Gears of War
We all know
4
my
I
feelings.
really liked, and everything
Right?
else
I mean-
I bought on PS4. I mean, that was pretty much it.
We all know my feelings on the Xbox. It's I loved the 360 with a passion reserved for Romeo and Juliet sonnets and shit like that, and then they went Xbox One, and it's just been a
Dude,
nightmare.
Xbox 360 will go down in history as one of the best consoles ever created. And I don't feel like anyone's giving it the credit it deserves right now. Everyone's focusing on Saturn and Dreamcast and how underrated those are. As time goes on, the Xbox 360 will be more remembered, way more remembered than any console. The Xbox 360 was incredible.
It got its bad rap off the beginning because of the Red Ring of Death issue. Although Microsoft, I felt like, stood up to the plate and fixed that like they should have. You know, we're going to give you a new console, just send it in. And like, I went through 3 of those sons of bitches just because I knew Microsoft was behind it and they were going to fix it and take care of it. So I was like, all right, then I'll let you fuck me again. You know what I mean? Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Okay, the third time, damn it, they fixed it. They're going to get me one that works. And they did. You know, the third one worked forever until I traded it in for an Elite. So it was, I love the 360, and I have a pretty decent library of 360 games that every one of them's good. And a pile of stuff downloaded to the machine, and it got online easy. It hooked up with friends easy. You could start chats. You could start, all the different things you do online.
It pioneered the online community.
Oh yeah, and then Xbox One just dropped the ball. Like somebody handed it to here's the the NFL's going strong, and then the USFL kicks in, and somebody's like, we're gonna watch this. No, that's who gave the USFL the contract to make the Xbox One. I don't get it. So I've been nothing but mad about it since I've had it, and the only reason I keep it is because that's what my brother lives and dies by. He only wants to play the Xbox One. That's all he wants to do. Y'all can't see me on the screen here for some reason. That's weird.
I play Call of Duty on it.
I'm not popping up. I've just now noticed that my face isn't coming up. It's because I'm not changing the thing. I don't have me. This would be the Kevin screen. Hi, everybody. Now I'm full screen. Take that. When I talk, I have to click my own button. But when y'all talk, it goes back and forth between you two. I've just now figured that out.
I was seeing you.
Oh, y'all are seeing me, but you're not watching what I'm on the live feed. I might not be. Maybe I'm not coming through. I don't know. I'll fix it later. We'll figure this out.
Can we talk about one exclusive that they are actually going to step up with this year? And I'm not saying I'm backing it. I'm asking about it. Sea of Thieves. Is this? We've been waiting a while for this too. Is this exclusivity worth looking at? And the reason I've got to ask this in question form, I don't really like to do that, but I don't know what the hell this is. In its infancy, we did know. And now I wonder if even they know. Now it looks like a freaking MMO of some kind. And I think Rare makes this, so that's kind of strange for them to be in on it. I love the art style, but what the fuck is this already? I mean, do they even know?
It strikes me.
You know about it.
Sea of Thieves strikes me as Destiny on water. And
which I don't think it was supposed to be. I don't think that was
right. Exactly. No, I agree. I don't think it was supposed to be. I think it was supposed to be pirate ship battles at the beginning, and I think it morphed into this. Instead, goes back to what I was saying about companies making games fun. Microsoft forgot to make this game fun and instead they tried to go with what's trendy,
Yeah.
and that was a gigantic mistake.
Oh yeah.
And this is someone who knows nothing about Sea of Thieves, has never played it, just throwing that out there like, watch it. I bet that's what's going to happen with it. And the community's going to eat it up. You'll have this dedicated fan base that's like, Sea of Thieves is incredible. It's the best game ever. But everyone who's not inside of that tight circle is going to be like, really? This is what you did with that game? Like, you had the potential to make it pirate battleships on the water. And now it turned into this massive multiplayer, weird MMO game on the water where you have to have loot crates and all these other things that may change your outfits, and maybe you get a special cannon. And I guarantee you there will be something in that where people are like, what? Why is this part of this game? That doesn't make any sense. I really hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope we're definitely wrong. I mean, because I was excited for this in its infancy, seeing because I'm into pirates. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that it was going to be, and again, the look of it, the art style of it, it's definitely a rare game, and I was stoked for it. But here lately, the last that we've heard on this thing, I was like, wait a minute, what the hell? This is not the game I saw. So,
well, just be careful. Be careful when you say this is a Rare game, because you have to remember when Microsoft purchased Rare from Nintendo. I don't know how much you read on that, but the massive foundation of who Rare was, all the developers left.
Yeah, I could see that.
So Rare now is not what Rare was. It's like the Atari box is not Atari. It's
right.
That's what Rare is right now.
Gotta take
unfortunately.
The art style is reminiscent of it, though, and I guess they're still trying to keep that where it is. But yeah, from there, like you say, if the foundation's not there, this is going to be anything but a cherished, game with that kind of feel to it. If it's an MMO, it's probably just going to be a turd, because we simply don't need another one anywhere, ever.
And speaking of Rare, just real quick, why the hell are they not making a good sequel to Conker's Bad Fur Day? Like, they had Conker Live and Reloaded, and it was forgettable. Why is it so hard to replicate how good Conker's Bad Fur Day was? Was it just so edgy?
It would sell itself if they did.
Am I just being nostalgia glasses right now? Is that what I'm doing right now, or is there a way to make?
How many people will be nostalgic with you? And if we're talking about Conkers, the answer is probably a lot. And that circles back to Nintendo again. Why they're always giving us something. It's like, I guess that's cool, but that's not what everybody wanted. It's not hard to figure out what's going to make people go berserk, and what stuff that everyone collectively just loved the hell out of, and what could easily have a sequel of what would sell. Instead, they're always trying to reinvent the wheel. All these companies are guilty of that. And it's the wrong thing. Every time it's the wrong thing. We don't need a new wheel. We've already made one. So, yeah.
Let me just, before we move on from the Nintendo Direct, a couple of things, and take this with a grain of salt, because I'm hearing a lot of rumors right now that there will be a full-on Nintendo Direct later this month. So that may fill in a lot of the frustrations and gaps and questions that I have among everyone else. But if that's the case, today's Nintendo Direct it proves that it was completely useless, because everything they talked about, and if there was something worth talking about, they would have mentioned it in this Direct. So that's why I was frustrated with today's Direct. It was like, here's a bunch of stuff that you guys didn't know about. And I read that as, here's a bunch of stuff that you should have just released trailers on your YouTube page. Like, there's nothing here that validates it as...
that warrants some hold.
It's marketing at its finest. There was no F-Zero. There was no Paper Mario. There was no Pikmin, no Metroid, no Earthbound. Nothing. You guys didn't talk about anything anybody cared about. You didn't talk about the operating system. You didn't talk about YouTube with it. You didn't talk about what the system will be able to do functionally. There was nothing of worth from today's conference. So when people fight me on Twitter and in my comment section on my video today, it frustrates the hell out of me because I'm like, you guys don't see the bigger picture. You're looking at the here and now, and you're saying, you don't get it, man. And I'm like, you're the one that doesn't get it. You are looking at this like Nintendo is just doing their best and they're letting us know what they're doing. And I look at it as, no, this is marketing 101. And they're trying to sell you as much shit as possible. And this is shit. This is absolute
It was sports diarrhea. It was sports diarrhea. I didn't want any of it. I really did not want any of it.
Regurgitated horse diarrhea.
And again, the tennis game, I mean, that would just be to stream it. And again, like who cares? You're going to be lost in a sea of people probably streaming that anyway. So it's just, someone will cover that. I don't need to look at it. And
Exactly. Like what if you're if you want to get the hottest, latest trend, if you want to get on that train, today's conference did nothing for you.
No.
Unless you're excited about Faye, which I was so excited about Faye, and then they said, made by EA, and I'm like, fuck Faye.
Yeah, yeah, back it up. I'm most excited for Octopath
let me
Outside of that, I can't tell you anything.
Yeah, that would have been nice for them to mention that
let
in
me,
this.
let me
in this
fix
direct.
your statement, motherfuck EA. Sorry.
We talked a lot about EA in our last podcast about Anthem still having to come out in light of all the issues that people, claim Battlefront 2 had, and more so anything, all the issues with them selling out Mass Effect to a third group of people under BioWare just so they could make freaking Anthem. Again, talk about just we don't need another MMO. Here comes one,
Well, speaking of MC, I had a couple people, not just one, but a couple people on Twitter today hit me with, I don't like EA, but I hope they bring a Mass Effect trilogy to the Switch. And I'm just like, you are literally falling for exactly what they want you to say.
Yeah.
Like that is what they want. That is free money to them. That's free. They don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Is that what the world has become? Where you make a game,
Yes.
and you can just find a way to resell it over and over and over and over.
That logic works at nothing. I mean, that's like eating your food, taking a dump, and then eating your doo-doo. You wouldn't do that. So why
Well,
does
if you
that
dump,
logic apply
your
here?
dump, hey, whoa, your dump might have better graphics than it.
The third time you eat the doo-doo, the resolution on it's a little bit lower.
It's crystal clear.
There's not as many corn niblets in it as there was.
I have said this before, and I'll say it again. The world is full of lowest common denominator people, and a quarter of the population is below average. If you say it nicely, and that's who's writing these things and buying these things, and they got to have 9 copies of the same game on 15 different systems. Like it doesn't. I don't mind the Switch is having ports. That is not our problem here. That you're bringing ports. Bring all the ports you want to the machine. Number 1, don't charge full price for them. And number 2, don't act like it's something special and new when it's not. It's a 5-year-old game. That's all our problem is, right?
By the way, speaking of CaptNRetro, rumor is, word on the street, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze will be coming at an asking price of $59.99.
And that makes absolutely no sense. I love that game. Don't get me wrong. Great game. One of my favorite platformers in the last 10 years. But it's not. I'm not going to pay $60 to put it on the Switch. Sorry.
A Wii U game where Nintendo officially sold it at the end of its life cycle for $19.99.
Yeah, on a greatest hits or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, find everyone that would buy that and line them up, and I want to count them. I just can't fathom it. But like you say, you got all these people saying, "Oh no, man, you know what you're talking about, man? It's the greatest thing ever."
Mm-hmm.
And when they're doing that, because Nintendo, I feel like they do listen. They don't react, but I feel like they listen. We don't need to validate that. We don't need to validate these practices.
Nintendo's like my wife.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like they do listen, but I know they don't react. But we don't need to tell them we're happy with that, and then they keep going on.
Well, you know what burns me? When I read comment sections and Facebook posts and people on Twitter writing, everyone, go buy this game so that they make a sequel on the Switch. Please, go buy this game, support it. Support this game.
Oh my God. I didn't know that was happening.
Oh my God, Kevin, tell me you've seen that.
I've
Tell me
seen a
you've
little
seen it.
bit. Jeff, you're
Oh, I
way
believe
more you're way more knowledgeable in the social media aspects of this world than I am. You've, like I said, you've jumped on YouTube in the last year and kicked my ass in subs, and it's all about advertising and like marketing yourself and
Marketing.
Instagramming
It's
and
all marketing, dude. That's
Instagramming and Twittering
unfortunately.
and tags and knowing how to do that stuff. And I do a little bit of it. My tags get me in trouble more often than not. So I just, I don't mean to be a dick. I come across as a dick, and sometimes my opinions make me seem like a dick, and I apologize for that. But
I think, Kevin, I think you have a tremendous talent. And I think if YouTube was fair, I think you'd be far more successful immediately than what you are right now.
well, I appreciate that. And I do it just like Drago and Rocky Four, baby. I fight for me. I do this because you'll nothing, yeah. I fight for me, and I do this because I want to, and it makes me laugh to make what I make. So I'm not in it to try and become a daily YouTuber or a full time. That'd be nice to get my bills paid from making stupid videos, but like I pay my bills other ways, and I don't have to. I'm not looking for a new job per se. I do this on my own time, so I don't. The more power to the people who can. Every day they're banging the videos out and boom, 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 and it might be something I'm not going to watch, but I have nothing but respect for people who do it. Like, don't get me wrong.
Well, the problem I've seen with a lot of that recently, and the more I do YouTube, the more in tune I get with it, and this is just why I'm not successful at anything I do. Is I always speak my mind. Everyone is way too goddamn positive. Everyone is too safe. Everyone is too, hey guys, this is what I got out of the Nintendo Direct today. This is why I'm excited. It's like I've watched way too many that I'd like to admit, way too many YouTube videos where that is what people were saying, and that's the safe play. You won't get the hate comments. You won't get the people coming at you. You'll get the fanboys that are like, yeah, I can't wait for this game, and it's this perpetual thing that just rolls this ball, and it drives me insane because that's not who I am, and I can't fake that, and I don't. No, and knowing that, I don't know if I could ever be successful on YouTube because of that.
Well, that's how me and Murr have felt the same way. We, even in other aspects of our lives, with our music, with our bands and stuff, we played by our own rules, and we did stuff that made us happy. And if people came, they came. If not, they didn't. You know what I mean? And like, I made a good living as a musician, and I still continue to make cash as a musician. But it's not on my terms. If I had my way, I'd be out touring and playing at 80,000 seat arenas and kicking ass every night. But that didn't seem to work out for me. And YouTube feels kind of the same way. Like, I'm doing my own thing, and if I keep doing my own thing, I'm gonna have the respect of my peers and myself. I have my own respect, but at any moment I felt like I could make a side channel and start doing some clickbait type shit, and I could blow up. I could have 1 billion subscribers and do it that way too, but that's not me. It's just like writing country music. That's not me. I can't make myself do that, so I won't. You know what I mean? I just do me, and then sometimes it gets me in trouble with my mouth. So
I only got
I know
on
the
here
feeling.
because
I know
there's
the
this wall
feeling.
of stuff behind me, and I just thought maybe I had something I could share with the community. I never expected anyone even really to watch, and then some people did, and now I feel like I'm in it, and I would be crazy not to keep going. But yeah, I don't know that it's ever going to amount to anything, but I'm grateful for the network. I've met some great folks, and I love talking with everybody. And I don't know what'll ever come of it, but I definitely have enjoyed the ride, and I want to stay on the ride. I mean, because I'm not going to stop collecting, like we talked about earlier. That's never going to stop. So I've just always felt, since I realized again people actually do this, that I probably have something to contribute. Since I've been in this since the freaking mid '80s, I feel like my experiences and stuff. Maybe somebody wants to hear about that. I don't know, but I genuinely like hearing about other people's, and that's kind of what we do on here. Everybody trades, everybody reciprocates. We talk, we share our experiences, our nostalgias, or like today, just our thoughts on the state of things and the new stuff, that's to come, and that stuff that we bounce all these ideas off of each other, and maybe in the long run get a better understanding of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's good stuff. And I'm running out of time here, but there is one other thing I wanted to talk about, especially Smash Ball. I got you here. This is one I've had on the back burner for a couple of shows, but what constitutes an RPG? And the reason I ask that is because there's a lot of games nowadays that as long as the fucker has a sword in his hand, it's a role-playing game. No, the hell it ain't, dude. And this segues into 3 other things that we'll have to get into in another episode. But what constitutes an RPG? What is it that makes it able to be called a role-playing game?
Here's my take on that. Ever since I was a kid, and it dates back to this question, when people started saying Legend of Zelda was a role-playing game. And, I mean, technically, you are playing the role of Link in a game, so that is a, by definition, role-playing game. But for me, role-playing game has always been, has to have more than one person in the party, typically more than 2. Doesn't have to be turn-based, can be a whole bunch of things, but includes how level ups, armor, weapons, upgrades,
character progression.
You don't have to have a store or shop, but that's preferable. And when you start getting away from that is when it starts getting away from an RPG. I look at Link to the Past as an adventure game. I don't look at that as a role-playing game, even though it's technically qualifies as a role-playing game. I look at Phantasy Star 2, that's a role-playing game. You see your party walking behind you while you're walking, and you fight enemies. It stops, and you fight them, and you get your experience points. You go up levels, you purchase items, you heal yourself. That's the definition of a role-playing game to me. JRPGs kind of switch that up a little bit with the ability to do it on the run and remove the turn-based aspect of it. But as far as what a role-playing game is, you need a party. First off, you need a party. If there's no party, to me, it's not a role-playing game. It's fair and say, like, right off the bat, that's an adventure game.
Yeah.
Playing game.
And without knowing, you've already hit on 2 of my other bullet points automatically. I have no problem saying that Zelda's not a role-playing game, and I wait for tomatoes to get thrown at me. But seriously, it's just an action game. I mean, I'm not playing anybody's role, because on that logic, every game ever made is a role-playing game. You're playing the role of somebody. And, again, while it arguably gave birth and viability to the genre, by definition, is it? And people are free to interpret that it is or that it isn't. But, I mean, I'm glad that you brought up Zelda first, and I'm also glad that you touched on the JRPG thing, because now, and no, it doesn't have to be turn-based, but they're getting jollies out of removing the turn-based out of these games and making them hack and slash. I don't want to play a hack and slash game, man. I want to play a game I can hold my coffee in one hand and play the game in the other. I don't feel like I'm role-playing at the point I'm actually having to fight, and it's white knuckles. That doesn't feel like an RPG anymore. So again,
the problem with today's gamer is it's, and Kevin, I'm sure you're going to nod your head to this too, it's a right now where they have instant gratification, and they don't want to grind. They don't want to fight pointless battles. They just want to go from point A to point B to point C to point D to point, and continue going.
Oh yeah.
And I think of games of yesteryear, especially, I'll keep saying it, especially Phantasy Star 2. That game would kick your ass, and there was no direction to where to go except for a couple dialogue boxes, and there was limited inventory space, limited places you could save. You could go through an entire dungeon, fight the end boss, and then you have to leave the dungeon. You wouldn't just teleport out of it. You'd fight the end boss and then leave the dungeon. You have to fight bosses.
You gotta get out of that dungeon. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, we were talking about that one recently on Tyler Stevenson's one of his videos. He was talking about having, starting to go through that when we were talking about that one in the comments. One of my all-time faves. But yeah,
people don't have the people don't have the patience for that anymore, and I think it's a result of the success of games that don't do that.
Must be, yeah.
Which
to me, it's a labor of love. I love it.
No, it totally is. But in a weird way, I feel like it opens up an opportunity for companies because that market is completely dried up. The only games I see doing that are tiny indie companies that make a really quick, shitty RPG that's just pointless. Like, if you did a Phantasy Star 2.5 or a Phantasy Star 3.5, I would play the hell out of that game. Even if it was, even if with my thing with RPGs, not very popular opinion, clearly based off of the direction of games, the harder, the better. The more challenging, the better. The harder it is to beat an end boss, the more I want to play that game. And the problem I see today is they make games where natural progression in a game will allow you to beat every end boss as you go, which kind of defeats the purpose of exploration.
Yeah. So, Captain, I want you to share as well your criteria. What makes it an RPG to you?
Pretty much everything Jeff just said. I definitely feel you have to have a party in the game. Like, there has to be at least, 2 people tagging along with you to take care of stuff or to, like, assign things to and to help you, You gotta have a fucking magician. You gotta have a fucking orc. There's gotta be an orc or a troll goblin somewhere, RPG normally in my brain immediately conjures Dungeons and Dragons. You know what I mean? Like, immediately, those 3 letters become D&D to me. So
I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'll tell you why in just a second.
Well, that's just, and I there needs to be a skill curve, a definite skill curve, and I think Dark Souls. Do y'all consider that a role-playing game? I mean, it's more of a fucking grind festival, right? Like, it's just a hard hack and slash fighting game that,
This ties into the next bullet point. And yes, I consider it one, but it's because it satisfies one other major criteria.
Okay.
That isn't completely necessary. Some might argue that it is. And you've heard me talk about this. It has a MyOp option.
Right. My own player.
For those of you that are not familiar with the MyOp option, it's MYOF, and yes, I invented this. That stands for Make Your Own Fucker. If I can make my own dude, then I'm definitely role-playing his ass because I made him, And again, that's why this is all, this is a very open-ended thing. I do consider Dark Souls an RPG at the same reason that Skyrim is. You've got to make your guy from the ground up, and literally every aspect of his development and the choices he makes and what happens in it is all up to you. So it's got a MyOp option, and it's not linear. I think things have to satisfy a certain number of criteria to be an RPG, but not all. But I think that there's some games that are wrongfully branded as being in the genre for the purposes of enticement or the illusion of depth in a lack thereof scenario. And if you can think of any games like that, we'll talk about them. But I think a lot of games are coming out nowadays. And like, oh, it's a new role-playing game. But no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just a dude swinging a sword.
I don't know. I don't know how much time you have left because this kind of opens up a whole new can of worms. But you play Kingsfield?
Say it one more time. I lost you there for a second.
Did you guys ever play Kingsfield?
Yeah,
I did not.
Okay, Kingsfield is Kevin clearly knows then. Kingsfield is a game made by From Software. It's one of the first games on ASCII. PlayStation view, frames per second dipped below 5 while you were swinging your sword on every measurable statistic that they have, and it's one of my favorite games ever made. And is that a role-playing game? Because you go around, you fight enemies, you go up levels, but it's not the typical role-playing game. It almost should be separated as to a one-player a single-player role-playing game or a party role-playing game. Because I feel like
You're going in and out again a little bit.
Okay. I was saying the category, you're saying the category should be, it constitutes it, it needs to hit a couple things to be considered a role-playing game, correct?
Saying it doesn't have to hit all the criteria, but there's certain criteria and a certain amount of it you have to hit before I can call it one.
And I'm saying, I agree with that. I'm saying they should delve down even further and saying there should be a single character role-playing game or a party role-playing game.
Yeah.
Where two completely different types of experiences.
Yeah.
And it almost needs to be separated because those Kingsfield is, you are one guy going through it. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, you're one guy going through it. Even though I don't really feel like that's an RPG. Phantasy Star, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, those are party Final Fantasy. Those are the typical Final Fantasy role-playing games. A quick question I saw when I was loading up my phone real quick before I cut out. Jeff, you don't play your old games. Why would you talk about playing the Phantasy Star 2.5 or 3.5? I mean, it would just go in my backlog, but I'd really want to play it. So,
absolutely,
just to be honest about that.
Well, same here. It would fall in the backlog, but I'd be dying to touch it. I can tell you that.
Well, Mur, I had one more thing.
And it doesn't hurt to have two sub-genres of it or multiple ones at all. So, yeah, I mean, then you can completely define all that as the different experiences that they are, because you've got, and it'll definitely separate those from these games coming out today. And I see some people talking about Bandai Namco, talk about.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Mur. Is
I don't want to open that one yet because that's going to be that'll be something for the next episode. But they're one of the ones that I'm holding responsible for saying that every time someone swings a sword for role playing, they're tearing up some seriously good properties and making them into what they're calling RPGs when they're really just reskins of the stupid Tales games that are absolutely pointless. So again, I hate to hold that thought. That's going to be a completely another episode there. Them and Koei.
Well,
it
wasn't necessarily about that. It was mainly about the Bandai Namco is making the new Metroid game and fucking Tight White's freaking out.
I saw the name and I thought maybe there was some talk about that. But yeah, that's a little foreshadowing for the next episode. They're those are the balls I'm going to bust.
Marble Madness is a role-playing game, Tyler. Sorry. You play as a marble.
I was saying, let's hope Bandai Namco isn't anything like Team Ninja when it comes to Metroid.
Right.
I'm feared for my life because, I mean, every game that they put out here recently has been the same thing, the same as Koei has done with Dynasty Warriors, so I don't know what to expect. It's unnerving. But yeah, that's pretty much all the time I've got for tonight. We've really hit on everything that I wanted to hit on. And Smash, I really appreciate you hopping in here with us, brother, because like I said, the original topics we had was definitely something I wanted to rap with you about, but I knew you'd have some input on all these other things too that we had slated for tonight. So it was awesome and love to have you again.
Absolutely. It was a blast. Thanks so much for having me. I'd love to be back eventually. It would be great.
It came at a good time with the Switch Direct because we got to air some grievances on that I think we all had. So.
Good timing.
Yeah, I just find it funny that Nintendo would, they just like to tickle your little funny bone and be like, here's a little something, and then it's not really anything. It's not really anything. We're just kind of fucking around. Sorry, we're Nintendo.
That kind of tickled me a little bit that they did it that way. But at the same time, it's not a joke, so it's like
right.
Don't toy with my emotions.
Yeah, they're just ruthless, and maybe it's the Japanese in them. Maybe it's something about their business strategy of being ruthless. Oh, my phone's blowing up.
That's Nintendo. They're calling
That's Nintendo. They heard me talking shit. Everybody else, guys, we're gonna call it there at the end of the night. Thank y'all so much for sticking around here with the CaptNRetro show. For me, CaptNRetro, for my buddy MC Murr, and our pal Smash JT. Thank you so much for watching. And we will do this next week or maybe the week after for the next topic. But Tight White, don't worry. We will go into depth about Metroid being made by Bandai Namco because that is just wrong. Wrong! So, thank you guys so much. Have a great night, everybody.